Sewakwé, I'm Greg Horn, and you're listening to Iorì wase's coverage of the 2021 Mohawk Council of Kahnawake elections. In this episode, we speak to the candidates running for the position of council chief. Each candidate was given 10 minutes, and all were asked the same basic questions. Welcome back to Iorì wase's ongoing 2021 Mohawk Council of Kahnawake election coverage. And today we're joined by candidate Jeremiah Johnson. And we'll start from there. Can you just, for people who may not know who you are, just introduce yourself?
Sego, I'm Jeremiah Johnson. My mother's Evelyn LeBlanc Johnson and Joseph Johnson.
Okay, and why are you running for council? I know you've been very active in the community, and you know there's been you've had discussions a little before in the past, but now this time you decided to throw your name in the ring.
I felt it was time. My children have grown up now. They're moved out. I have more time to devote to this. My family was most important. But I feel the community could definitely benefit from what I have to offer.
Okay, and if you're elected, what are some of the things that you hope to accomplish?
Well, there's quite a few things that I'd like to focus my attentions on. There's the economic development of our community. We need own source revenue. We need to stop depending on the federal government for all of our dollars, and I have a plan to do that. Another thing we need to focus on is the community's perception of MCK. There's a lot of distrust when it comes to the community and council. And a lot of that stems from accountability. And I think it's a big part of what I'd like to focus on is making sure that, or at least trying to bring more community involvement into local government, because we have our band meetings. I mean, you've been to them, Greg. You see how few people show up. It's not because people don't care about the issues. It's not because they don't want to be involved. It's because they feel that why get involved when the council's going to do what they want anyway? And to me personally, I find that a horrible attitude for people to have. You need to be involved in your local government, because if we're not going to have people involved, voicing their opinions, calling for change, we're never going to see it.
Okay, and so why should people vote for you?
People should vote for me, I think, because I've proven to the community that I care about the community. I've been involved in all protests and any movements our community has had. I'm always about the people. I believe that the power in this community comes from the people, and we need to carry that forward. And I'd like to try to bring that to the council table, is to try to reverse the pyramid of power. Councils at the top, they make the final decisions, and what they say kind of goes. And it's the opposite of our system, the way it's supposed to be. The people are the power. People make the decisions, give the council direction, and then they're supposed to go forward and carry out that direction. And I'm sure a lot of them do understand that, but it gets hard to hold to that, when you're in flowing water, that the current is hard and you swim against it, and it can be difficult.
Okay, so what do you think are some of the big issues that are facing the community right now?
We have a very big housing issue. I'm concerned about that, because our young ones now, they're becoming of age. They're looking to start their life, and they have nowhere to live. They have nowhere to go. They have to leave Kahnawake, go to Chateauguay, go to Montreal to get an apartment. And I really feel that's wrong. Our children belong at home. They belong here, setting their roots, building their families, and, staying connected to the community. And it can be difficult when you don't live in your community. And I think a big issue is our lack of housing, our lack of public housing. I mean, we have community members calling out for action. There's petitions going. Young lady, Tammy Whitebean, has a petition going about housing. I mean, that's fantastic. That's what people need to do, is they need to show the council that this is what the needs are of the community, and it's up to the council to deliver on those needs.
Okay, how, if you're elected, and how would you look at tackling some of these issues?
We have to cooperate. That's the thing, is working together. I'm only one person sitting at a table of 12. We have to cooperate with the table so that everybody's on the same track. We all have to work together to accomplish these things. Anything that's being done at the table. There's a lot of division sometimes when it comes to issues because of the different mindsets and mentalities that are there, but when it all comes down to it, in the end, everybody's there for the same reason, I think, because they care about their community.
Okay. If you're elected on July 3rd,
My birthday.
Nice.
Remember that, everybody.
What kind of files do you wanna tackle?
I'd like to take on the cannabis file. I mean, I have a great plan I had worked out for a cannabis industry in this community that I'd like to present to council and the community, and see if we can't get something going. Because, like I said about own source revenues, we're really under the thumb of the federal government because we take their money. You know, it's like getting your allowance. If you don't do your chores, you don't get your allowance. It's like that. We have to create our own industries in Kahnawake, and we're not going to strike oil on Clay Mountains. We're not going to dig up diamonds on OCR. We have nothing in this community to look towards in the future as an engine, you know, an economic engine to drive this community, except cannabis now, a new industry which has just opened up, which can benefit the community very much if we do it properly and if the community benefits.
Okay, and I guess we've talked about this before when you made your presentation, when you presented your law to the CDMP. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you would like to see in a cannabis industry?
I'd like to see community involvement. That's the most important thing. With all these large industries like gaming and it's a very few people who benefit from those industries. You know, it's not the community as a whole. I have a plan where it's the community can all be involved, where everybody who wants to be involved in this industry has a way to get involved in this industry, has a way to benefit from it, from your great auntie to your nephews. There's something for everybody if this industry can be operated properly. Okay. It can't be done like the tobacco industry where we have hundreds of pot stores all over. Like if you go to Oka, they have a thriving industry, but it's like this tobacco industry. You have stores everywhere, and they're independent. And from what I was told from a few people down there, is a lot of them aren't even native owned.
Okay, and so I mean, economic development. You said creating an economic engine.
Yeah.
Do you have any other ideas outside of the cannabis industry? If maybe the community isn't comfortable with it.
Well, like I says, I mean, it's there's nothing else we have for the future. There's no, the tobacco industry is not doing well. We teach our children not to smoke, right? I mean, we're not trying to create a new generation of customers in our community and the outside community. Tobacco is carcinogenic. It's bad for you. There's non-smoking ads, so the number of smokers has definitely been dwindling over the years and generations, of course, until someday at some point the business will no longer be that thriving industry that is supporting Kahnawake right now. And when that happens, we're going to need something else to fall upon, and we have nothing. And like I says, we don't have anything. We're not striking oil or diamonds here. We have just what we have available to us. The government recently legalized cannabis. And if we can utilize that industry and create our own economic engine, drive us forward, I think we can do that. If we can do it safely, where the community can agree to a process, can agree to a plan.
Okay, we got about 2 minutes left. What are some of the, if somebody is going vote on July 3rd and they're looking at the ballot and they're like, okay, well, who am I going to vote for if they're, if some people are undecided as, and why, what would you tell them if you could talk to them about voting for
I would tell them, vote for who you think can do the job. Don't vote for somebody who's popular or, somebody you might, vote for somebody who you think can do the job, because we need people in there who have the intelligence, who have experience, who have knowledge in, the basic politics of our community. I mean, sometimes you'll see somebody who's running for council who's very not been involved in politics at all. You never see them at meetings, and then suddenly they show up and they want to run for council. But I mean, I respect that, of course, and I understand why they're doing it. Like I said, it's that caring for the community, but the people in there, they need to be able to deliver on their promises.
Okay. Any final thoughts as we head into the election?
I think I've said pretty much what I needed to say. Nyawa Kahnawake for listening.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody, to Iorì Wase's ongoing coverage of the 2021 Mohawk Council Kahnawake election. And today we're here talking with MCK Chief Rhonda Kirby. Welcome to the show. So to start off, introducing who you are, letting our listeners know who you are if they don't know who you are already.
Yeah, thank you, Greg, and I really appreciate the time that you're giving all of us. So my name is Rhonda Kirby. I was initially elected in 2006, so I've been at council for the last 15 years. Over that time, I've certainly had a variety of files that would be considered quite controversial, and I've never shied away from any of those tough files. And it's certainly something that, over time you learn how to be part of the negotiation team, and in the big scheme of things, it's certainly not just one person who makes a decision when we're talking about different files. Although each of us currently have a number of files to work on, it's a team effort. And I think that's, what I want people to know is that over the years, I've been a team player. I continue to want to work as a team and to improve things for our community.
Okay. And so, as you said, you've been on council for the last 15 years. Why are you running this term?
Well, I think considering, what we've been through in the community and like the whole world has been going through in the last 15 months, there's certainly a lot of health and wellness, I think, that's important for us individually, within our families and with our community to build that back up. I know everybody's gone through a tough time juggling work life. Many of us have been working at home. Many of you out there continue to work at home, and we really don't know just yet when things will resume. And I think it's important. I feel it's really important, especially for the children, that, and I think everybody's felt the same way all these months. It's a struggle. You're not going out anywhere. You're not seeing people. You're trying to juggle your children at home. And I think, some of us may have forgotten how difficult it is even for the children. You think that they're playing and they're having a good time, but, they want that routine too. And I've seen that in my own grandchildren, that there was difficulties after a couple of months when everything finally closed down, that they need that routine. So I think it's important. And I've been on the health portfolio for all these years, and it's something I want to continue. I want to make sure, that we're all surviving all of this, in addition to the Indian Day settlement, which I've been a part of also this past 2 years. And, the discovery of what happened in Kamloops. I know it's very difficult for community members who have attended residential schools, and just being able to help and within the organizations that come under the health portfolio to, try and make sure that we all move forward in a healthy and positive way.
Okay. So come July 3rd, if at the end of the day, people support you and you're elected for another term, what are some of the things that you would like to work on, whether it's a new file or files that you're already working on?
I still really enjoy the files that I work on. I know for many it's hard to understand that these things take so long to come to fruition. But, one of the projects that I worked on for the past 6 terms is the hospital project. So that, unfortunately, we weren't able to see the grand opening because we were during the pandemic, but that's something I've been a part of all these years. And now there's a health and wellness committee that has recently started, and which would be looking at, I think for the first would be the organizations and the people that work in there, and to help them motivate again. Because I even though we're slowly transitioning and we're going back into a reopening phase, it's still going to be a challenge for all of us to get back to work and get back to the office on a daily basis. Luckily, it's the summertime, and people will be able to get out more and be able to see other people. So I think that's a benefit. But moving forward, for me, the health and wellness of the community is really important.
And I guess as we've seen over the last few months, that's really been something that's coming to light in the community, you know, because of the pandemic and the restrictions, and it's manifesting in different ways, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, some people don't realize that they may, it's affecting them more than they really know. You know, we try to go through our daily routines, and, you know, a lot of us are on Zoom and we're doing the Teams meetings all day long. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's rough. You have to change your mindset and, okay, you know, get back into your normal family life. And I think, you know, I'm just, you know, concerned about the children and will there be any lasting effects on them in the future? So.
As a current MCK chief, what do you see as some of the major issues within the community now, and I guess that are going to be happening over this coming term?
Well, I think our focus right now is the recovery phase of what's going on. We certainly always have issues in the community that pop up, you know, every couple of months or years, and I think, looking at the election, and there's certainly going to be several new chiefs that will be at the table, and it'll be a learning curve because there are some that are running who have not been in that position before, and it's you know, when I first went into it too, that was my thought. Like, I went to see Mike DeLille when I first thought about going, and talked about the job and what it entails, and, you know, he told me at one time, you could be as busy as you want. And I've kept myself very busy over these last 15 years. So I'd like to certainly be a team player with all of the new chiefs that will be coming in. One thing we did recognize in the last term was that because there were several new chiefs, some of the people that have been there already, the more senior people who have been there, our files continue. Well, it's still a huge learning curve for the new ones. So that's something we had talked about, to say, how do we do that? How do we buddy up with someone to kind of, you know, explain what goes on within the organization, and, you know, what MCEDs are, what the council meetings are, you know, so it's a huge learning curve, I think, for new people, but I'd certainly like to be there to help them and guide them through this new phase.
Okay, and on July 3rd, you know, as community members are heading to the polls, if you had the opportunity to talk to them and to tell them why they should vote for you, what would you say to them?
Well, I think, you know, over the years, as I mentioned earlier, I've taken on a lot of difficult files over the years. I've been consistent. I've been honest, you know, about the files that I've worked on, and I've worked very hard. And again, I'm not the only one. It's a team effort now that we have the new portfolio structures. It's certainly a larger group that helps you. There's a lot of discussion that goes on that helps anyone making that decision. And when that's done from the portfolio meetings, you bring it up to the council table. So, I certainly appreciate the opportunity that I've had all these years, and I look forward to continuing to work for the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake. I believe in this community, and I believe in the organization itself.
Okay, any final thoughts, any final words as we're ending?
Well, I think it's important for the community to come out and vote. It's always important, you know, making sure that your voice is heard. I know it's difficult, and a lot of times we've heard that, you know, people are saying, well, council's going to do what they want anyway. And that's, you know, we have 12 people that sit at the table. It's certainly not up to one person to make a decision. It's amongst the 12 people. We all bring something to the table. We all have something to offer, and everyone's opinion is important, and that has to be taken into consideration. So I think, you know, looking at the diverse group that we have running for this election, I think it's important to make your good choice.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to Iorì Wase's ongoing coverage of the 2021 Mohawk Council of Kahnawake elections, and today we're joined by Tonia Williams. Can you just introduce yourself, let people listening know who you are?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Tonia Williams, and I just wanted to say, Greg, thank you so much for opening up this space for us, an additional space within the media to be able to come and talk about our issues and our platform. I think it's really important. Hopefully, next election and as we go further, we'll have more and more of these opportunities to speak, because I think that's really important. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
My name is Tonia Williams. I am 47 years old. My mother is Valerie Jacobs. My father is Wendell Williams. My grandmother is Dorothy Horn Jacobs and Angus Fine Day Jacobs, and Selena Williams McCumber. To get that whole tree down. And a little bit about me. I've been working in First Nations development for 20 years. I have a background in criminology, political science, and social sciences. And I graduated from UBC and Douglas College and a bunch of different things, and studying a bunch of different things to really be able to respond to the various issues faced in communities. And so lots of stuff.
Okay, great. And why are you running for council?
That's the big question. Every time I answer this, it's quite funny. This is actually my third time running. And this interview is my first time making an official expression of my interests for this. As you know, on nomination day, the remains of 215 children were made known, and the community was able to do a vigil on that day. And so much was happening. And as you know, about all the issues that happened after that with the church and whatnot, and there was so much work that I was doing with that, I wasn't able to respond to the platform and why I'm running. And we were able to work on that and give it the time it needed. It needed respect, and I was able to pull back and focus on what I needed to. So I'm really excited to have this interview and go forward from that. So I just wanted to say that. But why am I running is one of the biggest questions. Why I'm running hasn't changed from the last two elections. I've seen people come and go since the last two elections, and I've stayed, and I will continue to stay. And because I have passion and commitment, and I'm really dedicated to see the betterment of this community. And I know that sounds political and whitewashy, but it really is one of the reasons I'm doing it. And when I look at why, I look at our vision statement, and our vision statement really is something that I believe in. And I think to myself, how are we going to implement that? And so, of course, there's issues that I want to focus on, and that's governance, of course, economy and jobs. Housing is a big thing, and mental health and well-being of our community. These are issues. These are the issues that I see that I put my energy towards, and I make that known that I would be able to contribute towards the implementation of our vision statement. And I believe there are 18, 19 lines in that statement. It's just really about what we want to be in 2029. And so that's really why I want to run, and I want to continue to work towards what we have envisioned for 2029.
Okay, and if you get elected on July 3rd, what are some of the things that you hope to accomplish over the next 3 years, and some of the files that you want to work on?
Good question. I have big issues and big ideas about governance and accountability and transparency. And, I can go into that in detail, governance and economy and jobs and where we need to invest in. And I think those are really, really crucial things. But what I've noticed and what I believe in right now is that we have to focus on something called post-COVID response and recovery. And in the next 12 months, I work for the Red Cross as well. And the Red Cross and a lot of national or international organizations are focusing on this. And so I want to bring that knowledge to this community. And I've been doing so many consultations this week with community directors, unit directors, and seeing where they are with COVID. With social services and housing, and how do we make that transition from CERM to back full-time employment? And this is really where my intention and my energy really wants to focus on is post-COVID response and recovery. I've been asking around, we don't have a plan. And we need a plan, and we need to focus on getting people assessing mental health. The federal budget, $11.7 billion additional dollars, and there's pockets of money everywhere. And how do we access those dollars to really meet our needs, assess our needs? Who needs what kind of help in the community to get? If we don't do this, those problems that have been created because of COVID, either their economic problems, their job loss, their business, their mental health and well-being, they're just going to grow. So my attention and energy really wants to be focused on 100%. We have the task force, and I strongly believe that we need another body in there right away and to triage the community and to really see what is gone, what do we need, how did we respond? Let's do a post analysis about how the MCK responded, how units responded, what happened in council, what happened with all the organizations. Pandemics aren't going away. And so in order for us to move on, we have to assess all of that and take the time to really figure out what the needs are and to meet them, and to, look at accessing the funding and putting us back into a better place.
Okay. So over, on July 3rd, it's election time, people are going to the polls. What would you say to somebody that's walking into the polls that's like, well, why should I vote for you? What would you tell that person?
I think that we have to remember we're in job interviews, right? This is a job interview. It's a very public job interview. And what we look at is commitment and dedication, passion, proven successes. And it depends. When we look at a candidate, do we have the best people at that table representing our interests? And the only way we're going to find out is by doing a lot of these interviews and these communications to really understand who we are and what our values are. Do we have leadership values? And I don't know if that's been talked about, but leadership values are so, so important. If you hold a position of power or influence in this community, you owe it to yourself and to your community to respond in ways in which will lead us down a different path. And that path is towards unity and peace, and it is towards collectivity, and it is not reacting, and it is taking our own personal emotions in check and responding to those things the way we need to appropriately mirror our community. And so those are some of the values that I bring forward. And I would hope that people would recognize that in me and, do vote for me and support me in this election. Yeah. Okay.
Talking about, different things that need to happen in over the next 12 months. How would you get those things accomplished, especially, post-COVID stuff?
I've been thinking a lot about that post-COVID response and recovery plan, and that's what I'm going to title it. I hope I can't do it myself, right? And I need other people to buy into this, and I really need the executive, and I need other people to understand what I envision. I envision this, getting a body together and replacing. When you're looking at the task force, we need another body to replace that body that has, we're triaging, right? We're assessing, we're doing consultation, we're looking at the businesses, we're looking at the mental health, and that is a huge thing. I'm a professional, and I have to admit, coming out is not always easy. How do we mentally transition from office to the real world? And so all of those, and people who want to go back to work, who just can't go back to work. And I had a conversation with somebody from social assistance yesterday, and people are just expected to go back to work, and that's a very difficult thing. Can I go back to work? Have you developed mental problems? Have you developed addictions? What has happened in the family home and the life? And so one of those things is I really want to push for that. And within that, become assessments about what did we do that wasn't the greatest? What could we do better? And really kind of hopefully get that sort of initiative on the ground. And immediately, people are moving from KERM to getting back to being employed. What if there's no jobs there? And that was one of my questions. What if these people are going back and they don't have jobs? How is this going to impact social assistance in their budget? So it's really about doing all that sort of triaging right away and getting people on board to agree and, make this happen.
Okay, 30 seconds left. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I have many thoughts. It went so fast. I'd like to thank you again for the time. And just to say to the community that I am here, I am dedicated. I spent 20 years working in this community, working in justice, public safety, corrections, QKR, CKR. My entire career has been dedicated towards this initiative, and I certainly would love the opportunity to take it to the next level and to try to make improvements where we need them, where we absolutely need them, and speak towards those commitments.
All right, excellent. Welcome back to Iorì Wase's ongoing coverage of the 2021 Mohawk Council of Kahnawake elections, and we're joined by candidate and current chief Harry Rice.
Thank you.
Just for those people who may not know who you are, who may be new to politics, just introduce who you are. Let our listeners know.
All right. So weird sound in my ear, but it's all right. I'm Harry Angus Rice. I've been working I'm Harry Angus Rice. My mother is Catherine Rice. My father is the late Paul Rice, and I have a sister named Amber Rice. I have 3 children, Garundaji, Degahawakwa, and Thunder. I've been working with the MCK for 3 years now. I got elected in the last term, and I've been actively volunteering, coaching. I think I coached just about every sport in Kahnawake except for football. But every other sport that's passed through Kahnawake, I think I had a little bit of a hand in coaching one of your sons or daughters in it.
Okay, and so why are you running for council?
Well, that was asked on the last time I ran. So my platform, and I don't know if that's your next question, but my platform was to help the Mohawk Immersion School, Gariwanoru. We helped them by solidifying some funds for them so they don't have to, so the parents don't have to fundraise. If the audience doesn't know, 2 of my children went through Gariwanoru. They're both graduates. My daughter's a fluent speaker. Well, not fluent, but as fluent as possible to this day. There was a lot of fundraising had to be done. And I didn't find it fair for the children learning the Mohawk language, the Kahnawake language, for their parents to have to fundraise for them to learn their language when every other child in Kahnawake is the parents don't have to fundraise for their children to go to school. So I went in and with the hopes and the dreams of solidifying them with some funding and some a new home, somewhere they can call their own. That's Gariwanoru's home. So that was the background that I ran with last year. We're halfway through what I wanted to accomplish, or what we wanted to accomplish. The next step is to get lands and the funding, the money for an actual brand new home for them. So that's pretty much why I want to be on council again.
Okay. And then again, I mean, this kind of rolls right into to what we just talked about. But if you're elected on July 3rd, what are some of the things that you would like to see accomplished over the next 3 years?
Yeah, great. That's along with the Gariwanoru. Some of the other things that I have been working on. One is not in light of, I don't know the proper terminology to use, but with the finding of the children, for the residential schools children. Before pre-COVID, I was working closely with the Orange Shirt gang. That's my terminology towards them, and they giggle, or the Orange Shirt girls, and they giggle about it. They've been working for making awareness for the September 30th, the Orange Shirt Day, and I jumped on with them, and we want to create or make a memorial for the residential school survivors. That's something that was in my my view in the past, but because of COVID, we weren't able to meet anymore after hours. So that kind of got put on the side burner. But now with the findings of the children, I am going to be reopening that file and having a couple more meetings. And I've had a couple of community members actually ask me about it. Are you going to start it again, Harry? I think we really need this now, and I really do think it. Personally, it hits me home because my dad's a residential school survivor. My dad's been passed for 20 years now, but that doesn't escape what the pain that he's gone through. So, and it funnels down, whichever way you want to look at it. It funnels down, and it funneled down to me. And there is need for healing for everybody in the community, and I think this is one way to start healing on that pathway or that journey. Another thing that was introduced to us while one of our chiefs was in, he no longer is a chief now, but I took over sports and rec, was a field house. And what that field house would consist of would be another ice surface, a lacrosse / soccer field, indoor soccer field, possibly with a pool, weight room, several different activity rooms or gyms that go along with this this field house. And I thought it was a great idea. Another one of the ideas that came past through the table that I like to try and push a little bit more is through sports and rec also. In the new development, Mackenzie White had introduced us to exactly like a field house but outdoors. So there would be a soccer field and there would be a basketball court. There would possibly be a mini lacrosse rink. So the kids in that neighborhood and those neighborhoods have somewhere. They don't have to come all the way. Parents don't have to drive all the way to town to bring them. Not that it's far, but sometimes it's tedious. So to have that available for there and for the rest of the community too. I mean, at some point in time, there has been not clashes, but like I would show up for my scheduled soccer practice at 7:00, and there would be guys playing field lacrosse on the field, and I had to kindly ask them to, because we had booked it. Oh yeah, okay, no problem. But it would give that opportunity to have that other field for them to play. So there wouldn't be any more clashes, and there's more than enough room for all the sports to organize sports to be going on at the same time.
Okay, so come July 3rd, election day, some people are walking into the sports complex to vote. What would you say to them to get them to vote for you, or why they should vote for you?
Again, I fighting for the Gariwanoru. That's not just fighting for the school. That's fighting for our preservation of our language and our culture. I like I said, I was a parent at the school. Two of my children went to school there, and what they brought out of that school, you can't be taught that anywhere else. So preservation of the language, fighting for the school and what the school wants for themselves. I would just say, I don't know if I would actually go up to anybody and ask them to, or tell them to vote for me or anything like that. But if somebody came to me to say, well, Harry, what do you think I should vote for you? I think that would be the main reason why is I'm a very big believer in the preservation of the language. I think we need all these the institutes that are currently in running right now, and they all need more funding too. So that's pretty much what I would say.
Okay. We have about a minute and a little bit left. Any final thoughts? Anything? Any of the big issues that are happening in the community that you wanna discuss?
Yeah, a lot of work is going to have to be done for the Mercia Bridge project. A lot of consultation with the community. They don't have a set plan in place. I'm talking about Quebec and the bridge authorities in Quebec. They don't have a set plan in place to say, well, this is what we want. So we can't go turn around and say, yeah, okay, we can agree to it, because we don't know what they have. They're expecting, in my view, I think they were expecting us to say, yeah, go ahead with it. And they can just come up with some big, huge, dumb idea that doesn't make any sense, where it could be worked out this way or whatever way. But there is no set plan for it. But I think a lot of consultation is going to be needed for that project alone. And it's going to be a long, tedious process that's going to happen. That, and I think I mentioned the children that were found, the residential schools children. I think a lot of healing is needed for a community, and the sourcing of the healing is vital right now.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome back to Iorì Wase's ongoing coverage of the 2021 Mohawk Council of Kahnawake election, and we're joined today by MCK Chief Ross Montour and current candidate. So, welcome, Ross. And for those who may not know who you are, just give yourself an introduction.
Okay. Sewakwé. Ross Montour. That's my parents were the late Maddie. General Gage Montour, and his first wife, Blanche. So those are my parents, Blanche and Maddie Montour. So I've been on council now for 3 years. And I want to start by saying, number one, it's been, so far, it's been an honor. It was an honor from day one to be nominated the first time round, and to get the nod to be able to serve the community to the best of my ability. And this is what I've endeavored to do over the last 3 years. It's been a challenging 3 years, and I think there have been accomplishments, but a lot of the things that we have worked on, that I've worked on, you're looking at incremental movement. When you start talking about working with the federal government, and I'm not even talking about working with them, but trying to work at a reasonable, respectful nation-to-nation relationship. I mean, you're taking maybe a half step forward and 3 steps back, and then fight back again. So it's very difficult to gauge success this way. And I'll point to the bill that just passed yesterday, which is Bill C-15, and the difficulties that we had trying to put into it meaningful amendments that would actually bring some meaning to that legislation in terms of the respect for our rights as Indigenous peoples. The other being 218, the amendment to the Criminal Code. When the amendment is actually going to be proposed, we managed to get a senator to propose that for us at the Senate hearings, and it could have been last Friday, but it looks like it might be tonight, and it might even be tomorrow. There's a lot of the debate was on C-15, but it's a glimmer of hope. We got 2 senators who will actually make the proposal for the amendment. And even in the likelihood that it gets voted down, Greg, the important thing is that it's on the record, because other battles will come in terms of the weakness of C-15 and the refusal on the part of the Canadian government to recognize us as jurisdictions. They seem to want us tucked neatly under the wing of provincial jurisdiction, and certainly the government of Quebec looks at us, and they do not even see us as having an inherent right to our own governance and our own laws.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 3 years, you've done a lot. You've worked on a lot of different files. Why? This is a question we ask everybody. Why are you running for council? Whether this is you're going for your second term, so I guess why? Just why?
Well, Greg, I mean, as long as we've known each other, I mean, I think you know me as a person whose passion has always been about political I remember when I first started working for the Eastern Door, and Kenneth found the money to get me employed. He wanted me to do page 9, and page 9 was, it wasn't the one that everybody wanted, right? The roaming reporter thing. And he said to me one day, he said, "Ross, stick to the fluff." And but it didn't last long. But it's a learning curve. I had lived away many years from Kahnawake. You didn't know me. We didn't know each other. We didn't even know what our connections were and all of that. But broadly in terms of Kahnawake, I always knew Kahnawake through family connections. I knew my family on both sides of my mother's side and on my father's side, and the fact that they had always been involved. So for me, I don't want to sound like egotistical, but it was really a desire to respond to what I felt was a calling, But the calling was really to say, pay respect for all of those people that came before us, that fought to defend our right to exist. We have 500 years of dealing with people on the outside. That's, I think, one of the reasons is I love the work. I came to it late. I always remember Timmy Norton saying, you got to get to know your town first. And so a lot of the time in between the time I'm returning to Kahnawake in 1999 and running for council in 2018 was in fact reacquainting myself with Kahnawake. I knew a lot of things in terms of history and that with my educational background. So, but the thing for me was I always had it in my mind that, I had an idea of what leadership was that I wanted to aspire to. And that's why I ran. And so I felt there were things that I could bring to the table. I always felt like we need a strong table at the Mohawk Council. And that's it. And I love it. And I would like to go on at least for another term. There's some things that we'd like to still work at accomplishing. Some things that you can actually look at and say on the ground, this was an accomplishment. An example would be the work that Chief Harry Rice and myself were involved with Gari Winoro, the immersion program. For years they were starved in terms of funding. Well, we managed to get funding which was secure and substantially higher for Gari Winoro. Now the challenge remains is finding a permanent home for them. And so that's, I think, for both Harry and I, is work that we've set our eyes upon for the next 3 years. The external government work that I've been doing, that's ongoing. And as I said, it's incremental. Right now, one of the main portfolios I held right away was Indigenous Rights in Research. And you look at that and say, well, what in the world is that? Well, it covers everything from, I moved archaeology into there because I remember Kenneth sending me to do a story over at my cousin's house next to my grandfather's there, and at Sandra's house, and asking the archaeologist that was there with the little kids from Kahnawake, he says, "What are you going to do when you dig down there and you find out we were here all along?" He says, "No, that's the St. Lawrence Iroquois." Okay, it said they'd have different shaped pots, so it's very political in Quebec. They look at of a province of settler people. They look at us, Kahnawake people, and they say they were here before us. It wasn't you over there. Well, how in the world do you know? Were you there when Cartier came? When Champlain came? You weren't there, but we are there. And so I moved archaeology into Indigenous Rights and Research because it's more than a heritage thing. Of course, it's heritage, but there is a plan for that information, the gathering of that information to why do we have to prove our presence? We shouldn't have to. But that's the game they play. And so that's ongoing. So I took that on as a responsibility. Part of that, though, is the scenery of Sault Ste. Louis. Okay, and of course, when we got into office, and we finally got to the division of portfolios. I was more than happy to take it on, but under the portfolio was the scenery, and at the time, because Mike DeLille got back in, he had experience with it. So it made some sense, to say, well, okay, he'll take the lead on that particular file under the overall portfolio. But what I said at the time was, I want to be a part of it, okay? Because that's another key thing. So there have been some key developments in a field of non-development, okay, coming from the government. And so we're going to have to take a hard stand with the government.
Okay. Come July 3rd, why should people vote for you?
Well, I've been wrestling with that question. I had that question posed that way about why should people vote for me? And I'm not a person to say, well, people should vote for me because, but why I would ask for the support of Kahnawake in the election is because I'm deeply committed to our community. I'm deeply committed. I'm fiercely committed to fighting for the rights of our people. There are some other things that I've been talking with fellow chiefs, looking at the potential of being back next term. The things that have come up over the last year. I mean, it has, starting from the blockade, going into the pandemic, and then there was addictions came up, and also housing. And so we need more housing in the community.
All right. Thank you very much. Yawagoa for listening. Iorì would like to thank the Community Media Strategic Support Fund for supporting this initiative.